Low. Record share screen. Share the screen. So let's welcome back. So this session is about handling errors. And as we have already done like 20 rounds here, 20 error handler, 20 handler controllers here. We always return, for example, we have to check the error, and then we return a message, an error with message here. So right now you only see status is fail, right? So actually there's one more thing. So I'm going to say, as you can see here in the lab, we actually have two cases. It could be, where is it? Shit. All right, let's go to the code and explain here. So basically we have two kind of errors. Two kind of, it's not error, it's kind of like error. Error here doesn't mean error actually. It means like our error or the application errors. So we have two kind of errors. And the first one is going to be our error. So this is our general message that we want to tell the user. It's not actually an error. It should be status equal fail. We fail to do something. We fail to do something. It's some kind of error. We fail to do something because the input information, the input data doesn't match our database for some reason. Another kind of error is a application error. For example, mongoose or type error or anything. Those kind of errors are kind of like application error. So basically, those kind of errors will be 500, and our application error will be like 400. And you would say that our error is kind of like, we can say it's operational error, and this non-operational error is mean application error. So we have to handle those two kinds of error. Sometimes it's fine. If you actually use a real API, you will see sometimes you see the error message, error status is like started code is 500. It means internal server error is kind of like application error. Something wrong in your application, you don't know. Something wrong in your mongoose, you don't know. Something wrong in your actual code. For example, if you fail something here, in your middleware, you fail something in your middleware, or you fail something here in your controller, they are all application error. And for example, operation error is, for example, you cannot find the tool based on the ID that the user provides us, right? You cannot find the tool without ID. Those are the operation error. You cannot find the review, you cannot find the user, the token is not validate, is not valid. I mean, it's not valid. So those kind of error is operation error. So keep in mind that we have two different kind of errors. And then with this in mind, we're gonna have to handle those two errors. But for now, let's go with from the simple way first, step by step. So as I said, this is how we basically handle the 404 error, right? It's so simple, so stupid. Not really stupid, but it's so simple. But there's one way we can make it like a little bit fancier. You can do all here. All here is mean on the method, so you can delete all these lines. So stupid, right? So it still work, but right now you return a response. Right now I want to make an error handler. I'm gonna create a error handler that will capture on the errors, right? On the errors. Basically, let's say app.use. No, just what was it? This not file, and I'm gonna use app.use, and in each function there's this one is a function, and this function, as you know, middleware function have, wait, something wrong here, sorry. So this function have 3 arguments: request, respond, and next. But as an error middleware inside our application, we also have a new thing called error. Magic. We can define a function with an error here. So whenever this function call next here, so I'm gonna do something like console log not found function, right? This is from not found function, and then I'm gonna call next. This next gonna have some error in there. I'm gonna show const error equal new error. So this error is a JavaScript error class. It's from JavaScript, and I'm gonna pass in error here. So if you call next and you pass in error, it will automatically capture in the middleware here. So let's say I'm gonna say if error respond respond dot status, let's say 500, and then JSON error not status, and this one's gonna be error, and here's a message. For example, this one is not found. Let's say URL not found, and here we're gonna have error dot message. Okay, else just next. I don't care. Else just next. Let's see if it works. So basically, not found here, we don't return anything. We simply call next, and when we call next, we pass the error object here. Right? And in this middleware, it will capture the error object, and if there's something in the error, it will respond like this. And that's it. I think we should return here. All right. Let's go and test with our Postman. And here, I actually tested before. As you can see here, right? It does work. URL not found, and this message is from this. Wow. So basically, we will call next, and we pass error. The same thing here for what the hell is it? For this controller, for example, we are not gonna like for error here, we're not gonna respond error here, but we're gonna call next, and then in next we pass in the error class like this. So we are gonna call next here, and in order to use next here, we need to define next here, and then we don't need this line. Instead, we're gonna pass in the error like this. Simple, right? So that's the basic. So we want to make this one a little bit more beautiful, and I'm gonna delete this and cause error. And also we can add more. For example, you can add more. Let's say error dot status. We can add the status here. Status equal to for example error here. So find the URL not found. What criteria should we specify it? Is it an error or is it a fail request? It's not actually an error, so I'm gonna say fail, right? And we also have error dot status code is for, right? And in here, next here, our function here, we don't return something like this. Instead, we're gonna return error dot status code like this, and the status here is gonna be error dot status, and here's the error message. So it's completely automatic, right? So this function is completely, there's no hard code here. We don't hard code anything here, right? Cool. So the job, this function purpose is like it will return the error, and the status will come from whenever we call it. The status error code the same from wherever we call it, as well as a message. So this function can be a standalone function. Cool. And let's put it in somewhere, not here. Let's say error. We will call it error handler. Is it error handler? Yeah. Let's say it's an error handler. We have a utils. Sometimes we have utils folder. Shit. Shit. Util folder. I'm gonna rename it util with S. Inside the util folder, I'm gonna create a file called error handler.js. Right. And in here, I'm gonna paste on a function here. So basically, I don't want to pollute my application.js here. I'm gonna copy that and put it in here. Export module dot export equal to this, right? With S. And in here, I'm gonna use it error handler. And to do that, we need to import it. Const error handler equal to require from where? From what the hell? Where the hell is the folder? Utils. And then inside util, we're gonna have a error handler. Cool. Right. So basically, I put them. Oh, haha. Yep, that's why. All right. Folder name, where? Oh, this one as well. So many mistakes. Utils. Yeah. Thank you. Oh, it's too small to see. Okay. So basically, I export this function, default function, and I consume it here. Cool. Now I'm gonna test it again. Test our postman. Same thing, still work. Go back. Started fail, error, and you also see the start code here, right? So everything went fine. And let's customize a little bit. I forgot the next step, but basically we will need to create a class, an error class ourselves, our own error class that will inherit from this class. We are talking about class, but you may not so familiar with class, but just try to understand it. You don't have to know how to do it like everything 100%. Just try to follow, because you're not gonna do it by yourself every time you create a new project. Just copy and paste, okay. So basically, we want to create our own class, our own error class, and that class is gonna inherit the error here. So let's say so instead of typing one by one like this, so we can use that way. I'm gonna create another one. Say app error .js. So basically, this app error is a class error stands error. So basically, we want to create a new class that inherit all the how to say, the method and the properties from this built-in error. Cool. Just like how we define our React, our component in React, right? Remember, class application is stand from React component, something like that. Same thing here. Right, and then, oh wait. So now, so the order here is kind of like, I have a mix no worries about the other here. Actually, we don't need to create a class right now, but let's go and yeah, we did this. We did this as well. So basically, I have another condition here, like if we have a static code, we will use static code. If we don't use it, we're gonna use 500. So basically, it's the same here. If you take a look at this code, shit. Let's move down so you can see it easier. Status, and here's the JSON. Inside the JSON, you're gonna have status, you're gonna have message, and everything. Right. So right now, if we have status code, we can use it here. If we don't have it, this will throw error, and that's why we have to do something like error dot status equal to error dot status or 500 not 500 error, and this one's gonna be started code, and by default is gonna be 500, right? If we provide the code, for example 404, we will use that. If there's no 404 or there's no 400, we'll use 500. So basically, this is the application error. It's not something that's created by us. It's something created by Express or Mongoose, and they don't actually give us the code itself themselves, but instead we have to use the default code here, 500. So for example, if you take a look at this, when you call it, right? When you call this is when you call the error and call it next, and then you pass in the error. But for some reason, you don't call the error at all because, for example, in the try catch here, for some reason, something different call it, and it will not have the error code. So here you have to give a default error code 500, as well as the error here. So the status is error. It's not fail. It's error. It's not fail. It's error. So it's either fail, fail or error. Same thing here is either maybe for x or 500, something like that. And then we connect. Okay, done. This one is done. We're not going to touch it. Okay, so we're done here. This part we will like get back to it later, but for now it's done. So now we need to customize our application error. Oh, so I was right. So as I said here, we have two kinds of error: programming error, or you can call application error. Basically, it's 500. And we also have operation errors for example, 404 for not found. 401 means the token is wrong, the user doesn't provide any token. Also, we have 400 mean 400 here means the input is incorrect or not insufficient input. For example, if the user doesn't provide for when they create a new user, but they don't provide the username or they don't provide the email. So that means we will throw the 400 error. So basically on the front end, when people, the coder who do the front end, when they see the code, they understand that they should be, they expect to see the code and understand what kind of error they are having. If they see 404 means, if they try to send a GET request and they see 404 means they're using the wrong API, maybe, yes. Or they're sending a wrong ID and that ID doesn't, our backend cannot find any document using that ID. When we throw that 404 error, they understand completely right away. Like they should be understanding the error right away when they see the error code. So that's why the error code here is very important. It helps the communication between the front end and the back end going smoothly. 441 means unauthorized. 400 means invalid input. So you can see a lot of like there's a whole new page status code. So if you have time, go to here and then read all the error. Shit, that's a lot. So basically you have done a bunch of them. Anyway, go back. So programming errors, you can have a third-party library error. For example, when you try to deploy to Heroku, you will see a bunch of error from libraries because of the conflicts in environments, as well as if you use the library incorrectly, or not really, like you misuse it, you will see those kind of error as well. So they are we will respond if fail. Really? I think I there's a typo here. It should be error. Right. Well, anyway, this one should be error. So now we're gonna create a class, and this class is gonna inherit the error class, the built-in error class from JavaScript. And then when we expect to, for example, we expect to call the error like this. In the end, in the final code, I want to call something like this, application error, and I want to pass in the code, for example, 401, and here's a message, unauthorized. For example, I want to use something like this, right? I don't want to write the whole line in the whole line like this, and I want to use try and catch as well. I just want to use one line here, and our controller here, our handler here needs to understand these two things, the started code as well as the message. Actually, the message is already in the error when you do something like new error, right? And here's a message. This is the message of the error. But the built-in error class also only have one argument, which is the message. It doesn't have the error code here. So that's why we need to like create a new class here that inherit the error from the built-in library, and then we're gonna add one more argument here. Cool. So that's why we have to create everything like this. So it's gonna be a constructor. Constructor, and inside a constructor is a function. Constructor is a function. In this function, we take in two elements. The first one is status code, and the second one is going to be message. Right. You don't have to know how to do this by yourself. Just follow along. And in here, super, for super, you will have to use super as explained in the doc in the lab. Super is when you want to call the argument, the parameter, the properties from the parent here. You want to call message from the error. This one's so complicated to explain. So you want to call message from the error. This message is different from this message somehow. So next one, you're gonna do this started code equal to started code, comma this message equal to message, right? And I think there's one more thing. I don't remember. So like go back. So you have super. People like someone, I remember someone asked me what is super in React, right? When we were like doing the class-based component, someone asked me what is super. Super, now you kind of like understand super. Super is like a function that we want to call the properties from the parent class. That's why we need to call super. And there should be an explanation here. Okay. Right, we want to call the argument from the constructor in the parent class, and we only call message because in the error class, the built-in error class, it only has one argument, which is the message, and then we have to define the starter by ourselves. So shit, I missed this one. So basically, this one is a custom status here. So as you can see here, there's a status here. It's a custom status. Sometimes it's success, sometimes it fails, sometimes it's error, sometimes it's critical error. I don't know, but we can customize them as well. So basically, I'm gonna about this one real quick. So we check the code. If the code start with 4, right? For example, 400, 401, 401, 402, 403, 404, those are called fail, right? And if it doesn't start with 4, it means we'll start with 5, and 5 means error. So the status will be like it will be dynamic. We don't have to give it a status because as I said before, shit, not here. We're gonna call the middleware like this. We give it a status code, we give the message, we don't give it a, for example, the status fail or error at all or success at all. We just say something like this, right? And our class app error class will understand it and customize the status by itself. Man, this is so and right, this part is very important. Basically, it will create an error stack for us. So you can see here, where the hell is the error? If you take a look at the error example error here, so these are the error stack here. This is the error stack. So using this method, it will create the stack for us, right? It will create the stack for us here, right? It will create the stack for us. And this one, the first is the option, the required parameter. It will create a stack about this error. This means the whole class here, the instance of the class here. But we can have another optional argument here, which is it's kind of like the limit of the error of the stack. If we don't have it, the stack is going to be so long, and we don't want that. We want to see only the error that's related to this error. And there's a website or a documentation here for error.capture stack trace. This is what we are using, error.capture stack trace here, right? And there's a documentation on how to use it. The first argument is required. The second argument is optional. And here's I explain it. I think they you understand the explanation, but this is how they explain it. If you want, I'm gonna paste it here. Yeah. Okay. What next? Right. We are done this. We done this. All right. So I missed one thing here. We also have something called is operational operation equal true. By default, whenever we call this class, it means it is operational error, right? If we don't call this class and there's an error, it means it's error. It's generated by Express or Mongoose or any third library, and it will not have this attribute. So we need this attribute in order to check later on, to customize later on. So let's put it there. This one is very confusing. All right, this and this. Okay, so that's done for the whole class here. That's it. So that's it. We generate a new error class that have some that inherit some attribute from the error, the built-in error, and we have some customized field, or you can say customized properties, which are the message. It's not really the message, but status and status code, as well as the operation and the stacks here. You will see the stack here later. So we have those kind of things, and I'm gonna leave it here. And then what's next? I forgot. You have to handle the error handler here. There's much to do in the error. There's a lot to do inside this error handler. And where the hell is it? Here. Right here. We have to do a lot of things here. So this is by default, we want to return an error with this kind of message, but we can have, for example, we have operational error, we have programming error, we also have environment error. For example, I want, for example, I don't want to let's say for development error, I want to return a stack of error, right? Error stack. But for production, I just want to return error message. So we have to handle this this logic in here. Right. Let's go here. This one is really like more like copy and paste, so I don't want to do it on my own way, and then I have to go back and fix a lot of things. So let's follow strictly on this. Oh shit, I forgot to export. Sorry guys. Always when you define something in a different file, you have to export it, right? Export application error. Always. Enough about this. It's done. So now we don't have to. So now we don't have to. Holy shit! Now it's gonna be similar. We can do something even similar. We can return something very similar like here. Haha! Look at it. This our not found function is here. So we don't have to use for lab code like this. We can just return. No, we gonna call next, and in this next we have new error, new application error. No, app error. Sorry. So in order to use that, we have to import it. Const app error equal to require from where? From app error. Yes. From utils, and then app error. Okay. So we're gonna use this one line to return app error, and in here you're gonna pass in the started code 404, and then the message URL not found. For example, this, and that's it. So you can delete this for like cool. Let's see if it works. Go back, and China is not safe. Where the hell is my error? Right, I'm gonna test this error. Same results, right? Same results. 404 status fail, and the message URL not found. So what if I change this one to 41 and then not authorized? Ah, shit. Something wrong? Take a look at my console here. Actually, there's nothing wrong. What the hell? Something wrong. I don't know. It just stopped running. My server stopped for some reason. So you actually see the error code for 1, and the message is not authorized, right? And if I change this one to 500, guess what? You will see error here and 500 here. 500 internal server error and error here, right? So it changes depending on our static code. So that's why the code is very important. So I'm gonna go back in 404 and idea file, for example, right? Save it. Right. So now in the future we are gonna use this error class, app error class, in order to return an error. So let's go and try this. So I'm gonna copy this. So for example, we have something here like this here, right? I'm gonna import it and use it. App error from controller, go up one level and go into utils and error. So I'm gonna comment out this line, and I'm gonna call next, and then new app error. Inside this app error, I'm gonna pass in the started code 400 and the message here, error message, error dot message. Right, something simple. And now I'm gonna create a tour with something stupid. I'm gonna create a tour. Where is my create tour? Create tour. And inside create tour, I will use shit. Oh shit. That's a lot. No, not this one. This one is simple. I'm gonna say I will remove title. Let's see what happens if I remove the title field. I'm gonna send it. See, as you can see here, you see 400 baht request mean invalid input, right? And it's failed. And the message is validation failed on the title. You must have a title. So basically, I proved that this error class worked fine. And it's actually have you write less code comparing to this one, right? You don't have to do .json status fail or something like that. Now it's just throw an error like this. So I'm gonna put it back. I said it, right? So which milestone was that? Refactor how to call the error middleware. You're gonna have to do this for all the on the controller in your application. You have to change them all. But before doing that, let's move on. Let's move on. It's not done yet, but right. So I actually show you how to do it here, right? Then milestone 7, you're gonna do it like our application will automatically capture all the async error. So right now we have to use try and catch in every single route, right? Every single handler. I don't want to repeat try and catch. That's a lot of work. It's painful to do that in every single router, every single handler. So I'm gonna say something magic, and I'm gonna say catch async. Catch async. So this function, is it right? This function is gonna capture all the asynchronous error and will use this. We use this to return the message. So let's define it. Model dot export, and I'm gonna call this one function. Catch async is an asynchronous function. So this function gonna receive. So this one so it's a function, and then inside the function it's gonna be like this. Yes, this function gonna have request, respond, then next. Obviously, it has to have next. So basically, it's the same here, right? So we're gonna wrap this function with another function outside of it. So funct. So this is how we wrap the function inside a function. Magic. And then this here, we're gonna return a function. So I'm gonna return a function. I'm gonna do a one-line stuff. So it's gonna be returning a function request respond function, and then I'm gonna request respond and next. If everything go well, we will call next. If it fail, it will catch the error. And this here, oh shit, so small. Toggle wrap, what wrap. So the catch here will catch the error. If there's any error, it will catch the error and call next with error inside, right? So basically, this one is it. What the hell? So I have a explanation inside the lab. This one is very hard to understand. So basically, we want to define a function because inside the catch async here is a function shit. We shouldn't have e here, and right. So here is a function, and this function is going to return a function. This function return a function, right? This function return itself. This function itself. The function here is element, and we call it element, and that's a function. And this function needs access to request, respond, and next. That's why we have to pass it here. If we don't have this part, if we just simply call it like this, it will complain. It will complain request and respond and next not found, not defined. It will complain like this, and I'm gonna prove it. Okay, I'm gonna export it. So I'm gonna, for example, const catch async, catch async, and then yeah, same thing here, right? In here, I'm gonna wrap catch async is a function, and here this is how we use it, catch async, and then we wrap everything. So and then we wrap the whole function inside that function. Simple. Catch async is a function. Look at it. The argument here, the first argument and the only argument is a function itself. That's why I named this one func. Func means function. In other language, it can be a function, the same meaning for function like this. It's a keyword in different language, but here is an argument. So the whole thing here become func, right? The whole thing here become func. The whole thing here become func. And this func, I heard Chin just scream. And this func gonna have request, respond, and next. As you can see here, it needs to have access to request, respond, and next. Okay. And if everything go well, it's not gonna call catch, but if there's something wrong, it will call catch. Func. Is it like it's gonna be like this function, and this function gonna have it's gonna be function catch async. This function gonna have func, and in here we have return and return func, and something like this. Right, it's gonna be like this. But now you don't have these three arguments. It will throw a complaint. I will show you. And then when you call catch async here, you can simply delete this. Delete it catch, and you can also wait. Yeah, you can also delete this one as well. Do we? Yeah, just delete them. Okay, so we delete everything, and this function becomes so simple. Just two line of code. Right, let's see if it works. And I'm gonna go out to Postman, and actually I'm gonna remove this line and send it. Shit, I think it's syntax error. Request not defined. Yes, that's error. Request is not defined. Response is not defined. Next is not defined. Because right here we simply call request, next, respond, and next without defining them. And here's how we define it. It's kind of like a callback function: request, respond, and then next. Right. So now let's test again. Voila. It's there. The error is here. So basically, you can guess what happened in there, right? So we don't need to use try and cat at all. See, we simply call a function and we put the controller inside a function. That's it. Cool. And this function will be called, and it will get all three arguments here, like this, like so. Right, and this function's gonna call next. If there's any error, it will call catch, and this catch gonna call next and pass down the error object here. Right, but this is not beautiful enough. You can simply call do it like this. Catch next. Holy shit, that's JavaScript for you. Yeah, so in short, it should be like this. That is softer way to do it. Let's see if it works. Same thing, I don't have the title field here. I send the error again. You also have the same result. So by default, if you only have one argument and you call it, so you can just simply delete them, right? That's why sometimes in your somehow in React, when you ask question, right? Why do have on click something like this? On click equal to function do something, and then sometimes you have to just do it like this, and sometimes you have to do something like this, right? You ask you ask some question like that, but it's too early to explain when you were studying React and just like 2 or 3 weeks in JavaScript. It's very hard to explain those kind of stuff. Now you know how to use callback, and it's a shorthand for callback. You don't hit anything. Instead, you do something here. So all the elements will go into this without like, yeah. Right, cool. Delete them and let's delete them all. So this is a masterpiece. All right. So now we don't need to use application error here unless we want to use it. For example, so right now we don't need to use it. Where are we? We done this. We turn on milestone 7. Yeah. In here actually have some explanation, right? If you decide to read more on this, and then you wrap whenever you want to call this function, when you use this one, you wrap this function around your controller, like so. So let's go back and try to delete. I'm going to use it inside your delete. I'm going to delete, copy this, and let's move it top to the top, right? And delete this line. We don't need that, and we also don't need this. So our controller will become so short right here, and you guys have to change these controllers yourself. So now let's go to the factory, and inside the factory, for example, I want to use it in here, right? I want to use it in here. Cause catchAsync equal to require. Go up one level, go to util, and then catchAsync. Okay. So I'm going to call catchAsync here, and I'm going to wrap everything inside the catchAsync, and then I can delete try. I can delete catch as well as this one. Right, cool. And then we actually don't have any error here, so we don't have to do it. So this one as well, we actually have no error. If we want to return some special case, for example, let's say if not ID, for example, if not ID, we'll return something like say next. Oh, here you need to use next, and then you got throw new application error, and then here's 404. If there's no ID, you can throw 400, and then for example, doc incorrect input, right? Something like that. But now you have to import the cause app error equal to require util, something like that. Yeah, that's it. It's so short. It's so convenient comparing to trying cat, and then you have to handle cat, and you have to handle the error as well. So this one is better, right? And I'm gonna do this, and yeah. So that's done. Milestone 7 is done. Oh yeah, I actually also have an explanation here. So if you just simply call it like this, request and next, it will throw an error, undefined error. So done. So milestone 8. This one I will leave it to you because it's how do I say this part, right? I'm gonna do the first part, and then my son 9 you're gonna do it yourself. So basically you want to custom these messages that suit your application logic. It's not mine. So this part you can customize by yourself. So basically you have different errors. For example, cache error. These error are from MongoDB. Mongoose, not MongoDB. Maybe from some of them from MongoDB, some of them from Mongoose. You when you do when you finish your project last week, you may run into those kind of problem, those kind of error. For example, cache error or duplication error, validation error, right? These three errors are like the most popular error for Mongoose. So cache error means like if you provide an incorrect ID, it cannot cast that ID into object ID. Basically that, right? If you send something bullshit here, let's say to I'm gonna send something bullshit here. Holy shit, what's wrong with this? All right, here you see cache, as you can see, cache error, right? Cache error is a type of the error. It's from Mongoose, from MongoDB. It's not from Mongoose. From Mongoose. Sorry, it's from Mongoose. Mongoose cannot convert a string. This string. Mongoose cannot convert this string into object ID, and that's why I throw this error, cache error. And here's a message. Message, right? Cannot convert this string into object ID. Another error is duplicate error. For example, duplicate error for when we have a condition inside the tool on the user. So we have email cannot be, it has to be unique. The email has to be unique here, right? So we cannot have two documents with the same email, right? We cannot have two users with the same email, and that means duplicate error. For the validation error, this one is a validation error. So we want to validate the email. So we want to make sure that string is an actual email. It's not an actual, but it's at least in the email format. So that's validation error. Sometimes it cannot be string, or sometimes it cannot be an object or an array. It will show the same error as well. So basically, sorry for switching the tabs. So basically we have three kinds of error from Mongoose. And this part you're gonna do it by yourself. Basically just copy and paste. I don't want to do that. Just copy and paste. And actually I don't remember where I got this from. So this one I do it. I can do it. And this one you have to look at the error message. You have to look at the error message here, and then if you actually, let's go back, and I'm gonna create another account here with the same email. I'm gonna create another account with the same email here, right? What the hell? Why the hell is success? So this one we didn't like handle the error properly. Let's take a look at the route. It's user, and we create the user, right? Success, right? Shit. It doesn't write into our database, so that's why it doesn't create any account. I'm gonna say await, right? And let's try again. So it's gonna throw error, duplicate error, right? As you can see here. Here's a message, and that's when we have to do something in our code here. We have to look at the message, the value here, and then we do some Euler expressions to find. We have to find the which field is failed. So it's failed on this field, email. Failed on this field with the value here. So I use a Euler expression to extract the data from the message, right? And then I customize my own message here using this, as well as the errors. This one the same. Validation error, you will have a multiple fields that fail the validation. So you need to run a map, maybe this one, yeah, it's a map. So you have an object with multiple fields that's go wrong, it's not, they are not validated. So yeah, some kind of like this. That's enough about the errors, the mongoose error. These are all mongoose errors. So let's go up and actually define. So I want to show you how to define. Actually, the code here is very straightforward. So we want to define two cases, like I said here. I want to define two cases here, development mode or production mode. So let's go here and so if error and return res. So inside if here, we can have another one for if not environment, not env equal to whatever development. We want to do something. We want to return, let's say I'm going to return the same thing. This one. Let's return the same thing, else. Or you can else if, and then you return the same thing again, and then we will customize it later. Not env productions, right? So now in your env, you're gonna say not env, and you will say wait, not here. It's from somewhere else. I don't remember. Oh, process. Process dot env like this, as well as this process .env. So basically, in your env file, you're gonna have define this variable, and I'm gonna call this one development, right? Development. So now it will fall into this situation, and in here, you don't want to return something so beautiful like this. Instead, we want to return here a lot of things here. We want to return the status, we also return the error, we also return the stack. So basically they are this. I'm gonna copy them and I'm gonna paste them here. So basically you want to return the error and the stack as well. Cool. So in order to test, you have to like turn off the server, start again. And so actually this, we are running on development mode, right? And I expect to see a stack here. Let's say, no, what? If process.env not env triple equal development is spelling right? Development return response dot this, else if return this. That's weird. So the error here, from error here. Do I miss something? Wow, that's weird. Try again. Not test. Let's say I'm gonna hardcode it. Gonna hardcode this one. And try again. Shit, something wrong here. I don't see here. So for some reason it fall into this. I'm gonna say he here. Let's see what happens. He here. All right. For some reason it doesn't fall into any any situation here. That's weird. What the hell happened? Why is my apps behave like that? Start again. I'm gonna test. That's weird. Sorry. Take a look. Something wrong here. So in error controller, we have this. Yeah. So nothing wrong. Nothing is wrong. So what the hell is wrong? Need to define not env in the environment, yes, or in star script. So you can choose. You can either put it in your star script like this. Let's say go to package.json here. You can either put it in your star script like here, star, and then you say not short app.js. You can do not env equal to development. You can do it like this, or you can put it in your env file and also work. But I suggest you guys to put it in your env.env. So hang on, I don't know what's wrong here because shit. Because this one, it doesn't return anything. So you have started code here. You have status, even though I have here, doesn't do anything. That's weird. That's weird. Yes. Everything's fine. I think I want to schema of the user first. Before the schema of the user first. But hang on, the error handler, we put it at the last line here. So on the error should be passed down to this one. This one is the last middleware that's run inside our application. And the mongoose is actually run somewhere here. And it will throw the error here, error handler. And the error handler will come. Let's see. Let's console log the error. Console log error. For some reason, I don't see any. I'm gonna stop the server and run again. I'm gonna send this, and I expect to see the error. Wow, it's not. I saw the error is replicated, right? Yeah, the error is replicated because I tried to create the same account. Maybe the schema run first. It's actually the error from the schema. Yes. No, I actually want to see the error. Yes, I purposely do this in order to see the error. And I want to see this kind of error, but I want to see the stack. I want to see this function execute. Right. But for now, it's not at all. It's not. It's not. So hang on. So app use error handler, and this app use error handler, and this from here, right? util error handler, util from error handler. For some reason, I cannot use. That's so weird. So weird. I cannot see the this function execute at all. So how the hell do they? Why? Because in the catchAsync, this will throw an error catch here, and the catch here will be caught by this middleware, and this middleware will have the error object here, and this error object, and we will return a different response. Wow, for some reason I don't see anything. How do you make it to look like a JSON response with the application class? It looks ugly with what? What do you mean? Wait, hang on. It still works. So for some reason, I have some problem with the this function here. It doesn't get fired, but somehow it still return an error. That's weird. But the question from Koi is how do you make it look like a JSON response with your application class? It look ugly with HTML. Here we return a JSON, and those JSON will have all the information from the class on the class itself. We don't have this. It's from the class I seen here. From here, application error, and this error is from here. All right, whatever. I want to show the error here. Where am I? Sorry, it's never used. Yes, for now it's never used. This error is generated by Mongoose. This error is generated by Mongoose. Shit, cannot type. This one is generated by Mongoose. It's not our application. Our on error is from the app error, the class app error. This error is from Mongoose. And for some reason, it's not passed. It's even passed now. So let's say I want to see the error here, but it's right here. Let's take a look here. So right here, I define two functions, and each function is gonna return a different response, and each response have different return. Yeah, same thing. There's no different. Okay, let's go back and change this one back to normal. See what happened. Shit, I hate this. Maybe because there's no error. Right, I'm gonna copy all of this and paste some here. But why is it the error is not calling? I'm still confused. Right. You don't have next. You don't really need next because you don't have no middleware that's run behind this one. So we don't actually need this. And let's go postman and then send it. Same error. But here I'm going to return status he. Let's see what happened. I expect to see he. Does not. Right. Something wrong here. Let me find and then I'll explain it later. Shit. What if I call this function? Not found. Actually, I see he. So basically, the catchAsync will catch anything, and it's catch gonna turn here. Wow! So this is magic, man. This is magic. I'm stuck here. This is magic. Where am I looking at? So why the hell is the not found? The not found, where is it? The not found here works. So when we throw this error, it works. API not found, right? API not found works. This one work. The app error work. But the error handler doesn't work. The error handler doesn't work. The error handler doesn't work. Why is that? Next, because we're gonna pass in the error. Let me fix this one and then I will go back to you. This one is also the last milestone, I think. It's also the last milestone. Yeah. So this pretty much copy and paste. And this one is it's not hard to do. You also need to copy and paste, but you have to do a little bit more if else. That's it, like this. I don't know why it doesn't work. So weird. Maybe something wrong with my data. Right. Sorry about this, guys. Let me stop about 10 or 15 minutes and then I'll get back to you about this error. But for now, it's gonna be okay, I think. Yeah, any question about stuff before this milestone? Before this milestone? Or even this number 9 is okay. Before this milestone. Something wrong here in my controller, but I don't know where. I will check it. So, anything about the catchAsync? Catchasync is something you can copy and paste as well. You just understand how it works in order to debug. In order to debug, as well as here. And the error here middleware. So questions? I think people like sleep. Sorry. Questions. My son 7. My son 7. Great. Catching error in async. I think I found the error. My son 7. Yes. About what? So the whole idea for my son 7 is we create. Can you go over with us in my son 7? Yeah. So I think I actually did it in delete. Let's go back and take a look at factory. I think factory. Inside factory, here, I already delete the try and catch. I just delete the try and delete. Here, I'm going to delete the try and the catch as well. Yeah, that's it. Then you have to use async. You have to wrap the whole controller with that function. That's it. So that's you don't have to. Oh shit! This one you have to next. If you want to use next inside your controller, you have to pass in next as well. You have to define next. What's happening here? Basically, if there's an error in the catchAsync, so this function will execute. If there's an error in this function, I'm going to say this one. If there's any error in this function, it's going to throw an error here. Here. So basically, it's this function. This function runs. If there's an error, it will execute this part. And the catch here next, it will call next, and then it will pass in the error object inside the next here. Right. If you take a look at the app.js, it's something like this. You pass in the, you call next, and then inside next, you pass the error object. The whole thing here is an error object, right? You call next and you pass in the error object. The same goes for this. So this function is going to execute. This function here, the whole function here is going to be, what was it? The whole thing here, right? This function here is the same as this function here. And it will try to run the whole function. It tries to run the whole function. And if there's something wrong, it will run the dot catch, this part. If somewhere there's an error in your code in this function, it will call catch, and it will pass the error object, and then inside catch you're gonna call next, and you pass as well the error object as well. So now you're gonna call the middleware, the error handler middleware, and here you have the error. When you have the error, You don't pass these three, so that's why you only have the error. And if there's error, you can say you respond like this. If there's no error, this middleware will not get fired at all. If you connect without an error in there, this middleware will not fire. All right. Cool. Let me take a look at the catchAsync here. So basically, it's gonna be like this. It should be returning functions, and inside func, and here we have request, response, and next. And we might have to use try and catch here, but we cannot actually use that. We can use catch here like this. Okay. The whole thing here is function. The whole thing here a function. This is a function. Where is it? It's the same function here, right? But in here we want to call, we want to use request, response, and next. So it's going to be an anonymous function. Ship request, response, and next. Right. Right. Mm-hmm. Cool. Is that okay, Koi? Yeah. So which part you don't get? We have the middleware here. It's called like, we run it at the last. This is the last middleware it's gonna run. Shit. Yeah. It should be the last middleware. And in the last middleware, if there's an error, it will execute the error here. Oh, let's take a look at the error. All right, so this is the error that I console log here. This is the error that I console log here. And you actually see the stack as well. Magic. Oh, and you also for you have actual, oh, so everything is here. So you need to call, so you need to call that. Okay. Right. Take a look at this. I'm gonna send, you should see a stack here. No, so this work here. Right. You see the whole stack, you see the error, and this one is bad. It's bad. It shouldn't be yeah, it should be started. And if you send again, so actually it failed, and you see the code, the error, the code error. And is it operational? Yes, it's true, because this error is what we generated by ourselves. It's not from, we customize it, we actually customize it, and the API is not found. So here's a stack. This stack is generated by the app error here. Right. Cool. Questions? And don't worry if you find this one too complicated, you get it in time. But for now, you don't have to actually write it by yourself, right? As I said before, this is all pretty much copy and paste. Actually, there's a lot of copy and paste, because take a look at this. you actually don't have to change anything here. You only change the name of the function, right? But the content of the function, you can keep them. Basically, you can keep them. And this one as well. There's nothing to change, only the two text here. So I'm reading the question from Young. What's the order of execution here? App error, catchAsync, error handler. Error handler is gonna be the last one to run, as I say here. It's the last middleware, means the last thing to run, and it only runs when there's an error. And there's an error when we actually throw an error. And app error, what is app error here? App error here only runs when we call it. That's why I didn't this error, the error handler didn't work before. App error only runs when we call it, like here. Only run when we call it. Where the hell is it? Where is it? Forgot what I did there. For example, let's say I'm gonna do something here. Let's say here, right? I'm gonna remove all these update. So I'm gonna remove all these, and I'm gonna throw error right here. I'm gonna throw the error. I'm gonna call next. Inside next, I'm gonna new application error, and here I'm gonna throw an error right here. 404, for example, something wrong. And all right. So this is how the app error get executed. And this one is update one. Update one. I have to find the update one. Maybe this, right? I'm going to send something. See, something wrong. Not here. Where the hell is it? Okay, something wrong. 404. 404, something wrong. So it's only get executed when you call it. So there's no order really, but so the catchAsync run first, and you can see catchAsync is gonna wrap everything in the app error, and then error handler will be the last one to run. That's a fix. CatchAsync, actually there's no, when we want to call this one, like 99% you will call it inside the catchAsync. The catchAsync, there's no magical here. There's no magic here. CatchAsync to like, it's the same as you try and then catch, nothing different. But instead of doing try and catch in every single controller like this, right? You use catchAsync to be, it's kind of like a shorthand for try and catch. Just think of it like this. It's kind of like a shorthand for try and catch. And inside that try and catch, you're gonna have, you want to return your customized error, you can do it like this. Or you can also return next with a new error. It also work. It also work. So whatever, it also work. Still work. So to answer, okay. Any questions? Right, question. Before I close this one is so long already. It's because this mistake here. It's not really mistake, but I didn't call the app error. So here I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna call this one. So I have to fix this one. Hang on, give me a second. I have to fix this one. Hang on a second. I'm gonna import this catchAsync, and I'm gonna call next app error, new app error, and in this app error, I forgot this part so that I can produce a error for here. So app error, inside app error is gonna have the whatever this code, I don't know, and say error dot status code 400, for example. What if I say 400 Yes, and then the message. Something wrong. It's not really. It's error, but message. Let's see what happened. Oh, actually, I changed my password. Shit. Let's do another one. Let's remove this. Right, as you can see here, you see the error right away, right? It fixed. So here the stack for the error. Because I removed, I changed the ID here. I changed the ID here. For example, I changed the ID into this one, and you see the error here. Basically, it's a cast error. The cast error cannot cast object ID because the ID is incorrect, right? Right. Okay, data is known because I don't. There's nothing update. There's nothing new. So that's why the data is null. We actually doesn't change anything. Error questions. I think it's that. I'm gonna stop this one. I forgot this pass, so that's why it doesn't execute the error handler here. There's no. See. You don't need to call next because that's the last middleware already. Any question besides nhân? So basically, we finished Myson 8. And then in Myson 9, you're going to have, actually not really, but you can customize even more. If that's operational, you return, for example, 404 or 400. If it's not operational, you will return 500 external internal server error. And then you're gonna customize more, like be more customized your error object. You have to look at on the properties here. Open the new tab. For example, here, shit. So you have to look at all the properties here. You have to look at the name of the errors, and then you have to handle the error depending on the names and the message here. Right. So sometimes it's string value, but basically yes. I think that's enough. That's too long already. All right, I'm gonna stop here, and then if you have questions, just send me a message on Discord. And remember to send it quite early because I'm gonna sleep early tonight as well. I'm afraid I cannot answer your questions. Right. So that's it. I'm gonna stop here.